Hey, I'm Jonathan Tyler, and you're watching 101.9 KINK Radio in the Skype Live studio.
So you're on tour with Holy Smokes, your new album. You're playing tonight at the Aladdin sold-out show.
Right.
And I think I heard you mention that you've been through Portland a number of times.
We have.
And tell me your favorite Portland story.
Man, I don't know.
It doesn't have to be PG.
Actually, well, the last time I was in Portland was probably my favorite. I've been here a bunch of times, and it's like, I think when we first started coming out and traveling, it was all about just get to the show. You know, we drive all over the country in a Ford Econo line, you know, and it was all about just get to the show. You know, we go straight to the venue and didn't really, a lot of times we just hang out there and then go back to some random hotel, sometimes motels, you know. And so a lot of our stories are just, the cities start to like kind of mesh together just because, it wasn't until recently, the last maybe year or so, that when I toured, I would actually venture out and like try to find new restaurants and nooks and crannies within the cities that we visited. So I'd have to say, like, the last time we came out here, we played here in the studio. It was about 5 or 6 years ago. We were on Atlantic Records, and we were touring on a record for them. And then, some things happened. It took a few years for us to get the ability to record another record, which was Holy Smokes. And so, in that sort of meantime, we didn't really, because we're in Texas, we didn't really come up here very often, just because it's so far, and it's at least 30 hours or so, and so, which I could tell stories about that, because when we came out on this tour to meet up with Warren Haynes in San Francisco, we played the Fillmore, and it was a 26-hour drive. And so we were like, let's split it into 3 days. Yeah, it's not the perk of, it's like the one thing. And, so we stopped in Santa Fe and visited this cool hotel and some Native American sort of jewelry places and things like that. Looked around, and then the next day it was like, okay, well, that was a nice day. We got to do something. The next day we drove to Bakersfield, California, which I love Merle Haggard, but Bakersfield.
Not that much.
Yeah.
Not that much.
So I don't know, Portland, the last time we were here, I think we went to Voodoo Donuts, which I ate so much that I got sick. It was we played at the Star Theater.
Star Theater, yeah.
And it was a great show. And yeah, we right after the show, Nikki and I we were traveling together, my girlfriend, and we like, she went to the pizza shop and I went to the donut shop, and just like we met and went back to the Juniper. Is that the
Juniper Hotel? Nice.
Yeah, we went back to there and got sick off of junk food. And that's about the extent of how crazy it gets.
Sounds pretty good. So you're back in Texas, but you were in LA for a while, working on this third album. And I mean, Texas and LA are two completely different worlds. How did
politically, for sure.
Right. Well, that too. I won't get into that. But how does just the feel of LA change what you're doing? Does it? Because you're still a Southern guy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I grew up traveling a lot. My family, I was kind of my family was South Carolina. Sorry, I can't talk right now because I'm trying to put together this thing for you guys. But they moved to Alabama, and that's where I was born. So my mom was pregnant in Charleston, and then they moved to Alabama. And then when I was born, we lived there for 4 years, and we moved another place. We ended up moving to New Jersey, and then we moved back to Alabama, and then we moved to Dallas. So like basically every 4 years until I was out of high school, I moved. So I never really got to a point where like I felt like one place was, home necessarily. And so by the time I was 20, we were already touring. So it just like I've just kind of kept this sort of like rambling sort of lifestyle going. And so when I went to LA, it was actually the 2 years or so that I was waiting to get out of the contract to be able to put out Holy Smokes. And so it was really nice because I just would play 4 or 5 shows a month, just enough, make enough money to just kind of like survive. And I had a little loft in Beechwood Canyon, which was kind of like, it's the Hollywood Hills, but it's kind of hippy dippy a little bit and has some really cool history to it. So I just kind of disappeared into these hills for that, year or two, and would just kind of write songs. And I worked on Holy Smokes in North Hollywood with a guy named Tom Monahan, who's done a lot of like good West Coast records. California just sort of has and the West Coast in general, it has an open sort of culture to it that we have in Texas for sure. But I think a lot of times when people think about Dallas or Texas, sometimes they think about the big things that come to people's mind are like the Dallas Cowboys, or just the sports. It's not really a music town, but we have Austin, which kind of represents that for us. So, and we're deeply entrenched in all of that. So it's kind of like,
it's in your fiber.
Texas is great. There's some really good things about it, and we definitely like the blues element of what we do, and sort of the country intertwining of those two things. I think is really unique to that part of the country. So.
And I think, and it's not necessarily unique to you. However, what struck me about your process is everything starts out acoustically. And to hear that last song, it's nothing even close to acoustically. But you start off very raw and simple, and then it becomes this.
Yeah, well, that song in particular is like a Lightning Hopkins riff, which he's a Texas blues guy. And his whole thing was doing the thumb, so you do like... So it's still acoustic, but it's just, then you throw the bass over it, and then, won't give you my last dime. And I do acoustic tours where I'll play the whole set like that. I just think it's kind of what I like about, having a band is it keeps it sort of interesting because, I've been doing this for 8 years or so now. And, I've had 3 albums. So if you break that down, it's like there's only certain many songs you're going to sing over and over and over in different towns and different places, and it gets monotonous. And I feel like just to keep it interesting for me and for the bands, where we're still feeling what we're playing, we try to change it up and mix it up and do different things with the songs. So.
Well, it works.
Thanks.
And like I told you earlier, listening to the sound check was awesome. So I'm going to get out of the way, and we're going to get more of that.
All
Thank
right.
you, Jonathan Tyler, everyone.
Thanks.